Welcome to part two of the Age of the Earth. We left off in part one saying that to convincingly argue for an old Earth, the word day in Genesis 1 must be shown to mean something other than a 24-hour period. Animal death must be demonstrated to precede Genesis 3, and Noah's flood must be exposed as something other than universal in scope. We'll take all three of those ideas in each video, one video each, to examine further. And today, we want to answer this question. Does the word day, D-A-Y, mean anything other than a 24-hour time period in Genesis 1? Question. Could God have created through evolution and or over millions of years if he wanted to? Well, the answer to that question is, of course, God could have done anything. He's all-powerful, he's almighty, he's all-knowing. He could have reversed all scientific laws that render evolution impossible, and he could have caused it to happen that way. But the fact remains that he did not do that. It's not what he said he did. If the Lord had created by evolution, then it stands to reason that the Bible would have been written that way. The Bible would reflect it. After all, the Bible contains many startling passages that run counter to the supposed primitive beliefs of the time. We might as well say God could have given us just 8 or 9 commandments, since we all have difficulty with some of them and we've all broken all of them in some way. But that's not how God did it. He gave us the 10 commandments. That's what he called them. In other words, my brothers and my sisters, it is not up to us to tell God how he should have done things. Now, let's think about 3 main interpretations of what day means in Genesis 1. Number 1, it means a literal 24-hour period. Or number 2, it could mean extended ages or epochs. Or number 3, it could mean a structure of literary framework. We mentioned that a little bit in part 1. Old Earth creationists claim that the days of creation in Genesis 1 represent long periods of time. One Christian astronomer has claimed that day 3 of creation week lasted more than 3 billion years. This assertion is made in order to allow for the billions of years that evolutionists claim are represented in the rock layers of the earth. But the text of Genesis 1 clearly states that God supernaturally created all that is in 6 actual days. Ladies and gentlemen, if we are prepared to let the words of the text speak to us in accord with the context and with their normal definitions, without influence from outside ideas, then the word for day in Genesis 1 obviously means an ordinary day of 24 hours. We read last week in Genesis chapter 1 verse 5, God called the light day and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. So here's the evidence. This text is qualified by a number, the first day. The phrase evening and morning gives more understanding. And for day 1, the words light and darkness appear. So besides textual problems, old Earth creationists have scientific dilemmas too. They accept modern scientific measurements for the age of the Earth, even though these measurements are based on evolutionary assumptions which are clearly and completely atheistic without God. The scientific facts that evolutionists claim as proof of millions of years are really interpretations of selected observations that have been made by scientists using anti-biblical and typically atheistic philosophical presuppositions. Everybody brings their own biases and their own presuppositions into this argument, into this discussion, because science doesn't say anything. Scientists say things, And all scientists have biases and presuppositions. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have the same facts. We have the same living creatures. We have the same DNA molecules. We have the same fossils. We have the same rock layers. We have the same Grand Canyon. We have the same moon. We have the same planets. We have the same starlight from distant stars and galaxies, and on it goes. What I've just listed to you are the facts. How old they are and how they're formed, well, these are interpretations of the facts. And let me say something and be really clear right now. What you believe about history will affect how you interpret these facts. You see, history is littered with so-called scientific facts that supposedly had proven the Bible wrong, which were shown years or even decades later to be not facts, but erroneously interpreted observations using anti-biblical assumptions. So does the word day mean anything other than a 24-hour time period? Not in Genesis 1, and not when God says how and teaches us how he created the world. So as we think about the age of the earth, the word day is the first problem old earth proponents have to get over. They have to jump the hurdle of the 24-hour day. More next time as we answer question number 2.